I'm going to do that through really just one, I think, simple anecdote that tells you about his commitment to rural counties, and not just the communities, but really the livelihood and the life, the quality of life that we're all trying to lead. When the governor was first elected and then sworn in January, early January 2019, pretty much right after he was sworn in, maybe literally right after, he headed out to the Panhandle counties, the Hurricane Michael impacted counties, and it was critical. And he made a lot of stops to make it clear that the governor, the state, were going to see these counties through a variety of challenges. One of those stops was really unique, and I got to sort of revisit that stop this past July. He stopped at what was Calhoun Liberty Hospital, and when I was there in July this year at the opening of the new Calhoun Liberty Hospital, a number of people, some who took the stage to speak, some who just came up privately and just shared their recollections, every one of them, every single one of them told the same story about the governor when he was there and the commitment he made that day, that no matter what, that the governor and the state will see that community, will see those two counties, will see that region through what is the importance of that hospital. And this year when that hospital reopened in July, there was not a dry eye in the house. There was not, because it was that critically important. The governor's commitment to rural communities is life is full of challenges and opportunities, but no matter what, this governor, our state, will see rural communities through both. Blue sky days, gray sky days, we're there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Ron DeSantis.
Good morning. Please be seated. Great to see you all. It's great to be here. I'm really excited about everything that we've been able to do working with folks in rural Florida, but I think the best is yet to come. When I first became governor, we have like 23 plus million. I mean, when I first became governor, it was like 21 and change million. And, you do things around, a lot of times they'll tell you, well, you just got to go to Tampa and go to Miami and all the, and kind of the bigger where more the people are. And if you look at like our 32 fiscally constrained counties, that's probably less total population than maybe just like one city in some of these other areas, or certainly way less than some counties in Florida. But I was just like, no, my job's not just to go to the cities, my job's to do everything. So I told the staff, I was like, has any governor ever done events in all 67 counties? And they're like, we haven't found any evidence of that, and we don't think so, so we're doing it. So we did public events in all 67 counties. And, I would go to, and the thing is you go to like Miami, and it's like, it is what it is, right? I mean, not that people, they're happy if we're there doing things, but, you go to some of the rural, I remember going some of the counties, and I remember a lady just pinched me, and it's like, I've never seen a governor before come to these parts. And I was like, well, here I am in the flesh. And so we were able to do, and what I found is, when you show up, especially if you're able to do some of the things we have with like the Job Growth Grant Fund, the Rural Infrastructure Fund, some of those things, one, the money goes a lot further when you're helping with things in rural Florida. But then two, people appreciate it. They remember it, that you showed up and you took an interest in their community. So we've been able to do a lot of great stuff. It's interesting. We're here in Ocala, and people will, rural infrastructure, here's some possibilities, Governor, Job Growth Grant. We have all these, we have environment, water, all this stuff. And, some of it is discretionary, and you got to figure out what you want. So there's, on I-75, they came to me and said they wanted to do a new, an off-ramp and build an off-ramp to be able to do it. And so they're telling me, I don't know how much money it was, $5-6 million bucks. It would be the Job Growth Grant Fund, maybe FDOT put in some, I don't remember exactly the amount. but they're just going and like, yeah, Governor, we think that, if we do that, then they'll be able to have an exit and then feed into, a new industrial park. And I'm like, okay, good. And then they're like, and then, there's something else here. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's good. And then they're like, oh, yeah, and then finally, if you do that, they're going to build a Buc-ee's there. I'm like, sold. I am doing that. And so you got the Buc-ee's coming in there, which I think is going to be really good. And I think there's actually one coming in off I-10 near Tallahassee. I don't know if they've started that yet, but I've heard reports of that. So that'll be really, really good. But some of the stuff that we've been able to do on infrastructure, really, really significant. We've been able to do things to connect some of the industrial sites. I think manufacturing and building things is a great pathway for the future. You hear we're having this debate about artificial intelligence and, the rise of this and everything like that. And, don't let anyone tell you, whoever's saying how great it's going to be, there's going to be big pitfalls too. At best, right? And you end up in this situation where people don't even know what's real. They're able to do all these things. They actually do AI songs. So my wife, I love her, but she'll write a song about Madison, Mason, and Mamie, our kids, going to the park, and they will write a song about it. And then there's like an app where you can put the lyrics into the app, and they will actually play a song. And, it's interesting. So my kids, when she started doing that, after a couple times, they're just like, Mommy, we don't like AI songs. We like real songs. It's just funny to see how people respond to some of this stuff. But a lot of people are saying that as AI advances, that it's going to really undercut a lot of jobs. A lot of white-collar jobs. The people that went to college and then, they want to graduate and then go into like accounting or some of these things. The thought is that maybe that is going to be there. I don't think that's a good thing. There's some people that think it is. I don't. It's one of the reasons why I don't think we should be subsidizing it. Why would we subsidize something that could potentially, cause problems for folks? It's one thing if technologies develop and then people can figure out. But be that as, and oh, by the way, the accuracy of some of this stuff. So, I grew up in the Tampa Bay, so I'm a Tampa Bay Bucks fan. But, we live in Tallahassee because of the governor. And a couple weekends ago, it was a big game, Bucks versus Patriots. And the Patriots are like resurgent. They're doing really good. So at 1 o'clock, and I didn't know what channel, so I asked Grok. I said, Grok, I'm in Tallahassee. Where do I watch the Bucks Patriots? I said, oh, it's on WCTV, your local CBS affiliate. I'm like, okay. Go there, 1 o'clock, put it on. Jaguars and Texans. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. So then I was like, well, they didn't have that on there. You said, whatever. It was like, well, yeah, actually, you need to get it on Paramount Plus, a streaming service. So I signed up for Paramount Plus. And then I pull up, and it's not easy for me to do these things. Like, it's like I'm a little challenged and somehow with all this and the technology. But so I sign up, NFL Sunday, click. What are your options? Jaguars and Texans. No, and I'm like, and so it was just wrong. So I think there's going to be a lot of issues there. But let's just say, that some people think that's going to go in that direction. What's going to be even more necessary are people that have these concrete vocational skills. People that actually be, some of the technology may help workers be more productive, but they're not going to be able to fully replace that. And so I just think we have an opportunity to continue to build that manufacturing base. And I think we've added, Alex knows the exact numbers, but since I've been governor, we've added tens of thousands of manufacturing jobs just in the state of Florida over the last 6 years. It's interesting. We've been ranked #1 economy in the United States 3 years in a row by CNBC and by U.S. News and World Report. Now, editorially, neither of those outlets probably want to rank Florida 1 if they could help it, but the results speak for themselves. So you've seen that. And since COVID, If you look at all the jobs that have been created nationwide, Florida, with about 6.5% of the U.S. population, about 14% of all new jobs nationwide were done in Florida. And we've actually created more jobs in Florida than some of these other big states combined who have lost population and lost business. So there's a lot of good momentum going forward, but I really do appreciate the opportunity to help on the infrastructure front, particularly for those types of projects. We've also helped on the education front and on the vocational education front. You know, we've done a lot to expand commercial driver's license throughout the state of Florida. I think it's a great opportunity for people to be able to do. Certainly don't want these guys that they licensed in California that can't even speak English, and then they run over people, or they end up blocking a road and 3 people die because of what they're doing here in Florida. We never licensed them. That was licensed in California. So I think we have an opportunity to produce our own folks. And a lot of these jobs, you go in and you're making $100,000 a year right at the start. So that's a great opportunity. And so we're doing that, and we're proud of that. We've also done a lot on the Rural Infrastructure Fund, apart from our job growth. That's something that I've put in the budget each and every year. We've worked very closely with Ben Albritton, the president of the Florida Senate, on this. He's a very big champion for rural Florida. And a lot of what he was focused on in the last legislative session was helping in a variety of ways. Some of it job training, a lot of it infrastructure in areas that, and the thing is, you do that there, people will never forget that. I mean, it'll be really, really a big deal. You know, I do stuff. And look, people appreciate it. I mean, we do infrastructure all over the state. I did Moving Florida Forward, which was basically, yeah, we got this great transportation budget. We're like doing all that. But I've got all these projects that need to get done. Some of them aren't even scheduled to start until next decade. Well, how does that help people in traffic now? So we had, big surplus, and we've cut taxes, paid down debt. We've done all of that. But I took some of that. So we ended up doing $7-8 billion, surged it up front, and then we could accelerate these projects. So now we're going to have completed projects up to 15 years ahead of schedule, because we're getting the shovels are going doing that. But like I-4, there's been I-4 Ultimate that have been done, and then as you get into like Disney and Champions Gate and Polk, I mean, it was tough. So just doing the temporary lanes, which we opened like 9 months ahead of schedule, we were able, and you could track it with the cameras, commute cut in half for people. And I'll tell you, I've had people be very emotional about it, because they're saving time for them. They're able to spend more time with their family, able to do all that. And so we're going to accelerate that. So we'll have that, all the different arteries that go in there, that's all underway. And we're going to end up having 10 or 15 years where you have better traffic flow. Then have we not done that? So we're proud of doing that, and we're going to keep on doing it. So all I will say is I understand that our rural communities are important. I've not only talked the talk and just show up here and speak, but we've walked the walk. And to be able to be the first governor on record to do these events. And like when I do events, I'm not just like doing events like beating my chest. I'm bringing money usually, right? I get these big checks that they print out and we hand them. I don't know that that they necessarily get cashed at the bank with that big checks, but we do get the money. Alex makes sure the money gets there to people, and we're able to do that. And so I'm really proud of that, and I think that we've got a lot of great stuff. But I also, people will say to me, you look at like New York City and this guy getting elected mayor. It's interesting. He's basically a communist. And so that was, I think it was November 8th was the election. November 10th, Florida recognizes Victims of Communism Day. And we teach kids about the evils of communism. So it's like, what a contrast between there and here. But, people say, oh, is it going to cause more people to flee to Florida? And a lot of our residents are like, they're proud that Florida's been successful and has kind of been the beacon and the leader and all that stuff. It's like at some point, we can't just have, and they'll tell me like, Governor, stop letting people in. Just so you know, as an American, you can move to any state you want. I don't have the authority to keep you out. I probably would be exercising it in certain instances if I could. But that's not, so it's people vote with their feet, it's a free country, you do all that, and I don't know what the fallout's going to be for this guy up there. I can tell you, if you think somehow you're going to have government-run grocery stores and that be successful, it's not. They've tried this stuff before. The command and control, it doesn't work. In fact, when we were down at the Freedom Tower in Miami, we did the Victims of Communism Day. I had all these high school kids from Miami that were there, and they were really fun. They were hearing stories about all this. But one of the anecdotes that President Reagan used to tell about this, where he would talk about the old Soviet Union, and a fellow goes in because he needed a new car, and he goes in and says, hey, I need a new car, or whatever, and the clerk's like, okay, no problem, come back in 10 years. And the customer was like, morning or afternoon? And the clerk was like, what difference does it make? It's 10 years from now. He's like, well, because I have the plumber coming in the morning that day. And it's like, it doesn't work. So that's not going to work. And they're probably going to try to raise taxes and all that, which is not going to work. But the number one thing that causes people to say, I'm out, is when public safety deteriorates. And he hates the police. He wanted to abolish the NYPD, and I think they're going to be putting more criminals back on the street. That is not going to end well. So I don't know what that means for us. It's not, as an American, you can live, move where you want, but I do think it's important, that we maintain the character of rural Florida. We've worked hard on things like the Rural and Family Lands program, so that it's viable to keep these lands, these farmlands, prevent that from ending up being part of some concrete jungle. We've done the Florida Wildlife Corridor, massive expansion of that, really up and down the state. And I just think it's important. Some of these areas that we'll visit, honestly, my wife and I, we like a lot of the smaller areas. And I tell people, we were just at University of Florida yesterday. We have this thing called the Hamilton School for Classical Learning and Civics. It's the #1 place to study Western civilizations and the founding of the American Republic anywhere in the country already. And we just opened it a few years ago. But we got all these great scholars. We got the guy we've got from Princeton, Gelzo, best Civil War and Lincoln historian in the country. And he comes to Hamilton School at University of Florida. They just brought a guy from Harvard who had been there 40 years. And said he couldn't take it anymore because of the ideology, and wanted to come someplace where you had real robust inquiry. So he came to Florida, and we got these other people. So I was there. We did a groundbreaking yesterday, and we're looking through all of that. But man, what a model that is in terms of what we're able to do going forward. So we want to make sure that we keep the character. And so my wife and I, but I was telling those, I was like, why did I bring up Hamilton School? I brought it up because I was talking to some of the professors who've come from all over the world to come to Gainesville. And I said, have you had a chance to explore Florida? And some of them said, we were in Miami or we were in there. And I was like, you know what? Just go to the West Coast from right here. You can go to like Levy County or some of these places. You got these, nice areas you can go. It's not too crowded. Mom and pop restaurants, all these other things. Unfortunately, we've had hurricanes hit the Big Bend area. And, I tell people, I'm going there, and we're helping out, and we're happy to do that. So we do something one day, and I go to one of the restaurants on the way out. And the fella gives me massive stone crab claws. Bigger than you get in the Keys. I couldn't believe it. I was telling people, you got to go there. You got to go all that. Apalachicola, my wife and I like. Like, all these places are good because it really is representative of old Florida. And look, there's a time and a place to have the big high-rises and the hotels and the condo on, like, South Beach. That's fine, but that's not the sum total of the Florida experience. So I think it's important what you guys are doing for economy, for opportunity, but I also think, part of the culture of Florida really relies on having strong rural communities, special communities, and they're places that I'm proud to say I've been able to go and see firsthand. And, you'll see me more, as the next year and a half wears on. So God bless everybody. Thank you so much, and best of luck along the way.
So we have been blessed, Governor, with your leadership. You've done a wonderful job of making rural Florida a better place to live, work, and play. And we just wanted to present you with this token of our appreciation in naming you a rural champion.
Oh,
Thank you,
yeah.
sir.
All right. Thanks so much. All right. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll give us just a short pause of about 3 minutes, we'll be right back. Thank you.